Hey folks, welcome back to Gaming Garbage, where we take a look at games, chat about the gaming news in the industry, and of course stream for fun. Today we're taking a look at Gaming News Consolidated. This is July 14th through the 20th. And the idea is basically to watch a few hours of videos and also scour the internet for articles and stuff and take the most relevant or exciting stuff during the week and put it all in one place for you. So this is a podcast. This is all you're going to see. There's no face. There's nothing too exciting about that if you're new here. Welcome though, honestly. And let me just check my audio. I've had some audio issues, and the fix that I've been using used to work. It sounds great. Perfect. All right, 3 times the charm, I guess. So here we go. Thanks for tuning in, folks. And what we'll be talking about today, we'll be talking about Pal World teaming up with Sony. We're talking about Concord with how their beta tests are going and just my overall thoughts of the game as a business model. We'll also be talking about Ubisoft and their plans for Assassin's Creed. We've narrowed that down a little bit. Also some Black Ops 6 news and some other stuff. So thanks for tuning in. Let's go ahead and get into it. So the makers of Pal World, Pocket Pair, they made a game in January, if you didn't know, called Pal World. It was very popular earlier this year, and it really blew up. I mean, they definitely made hundreds of millions of dollars just for a early access game that's still in beta. No official release yet. It'll probably take a while, too. Maybe the rest of this year, maybe even into next year. But they've teamed up with Sony Music and Aniplex. Aniplex is a subsidiary, and the idea is they've actually made a whole new company called Pal World Entertainment. And the idea is to expand and develop the IP outside of the video game. So this includes merchandise, e-commerce, licensing for movies, music, etc., and anything else they can do that don't infringe on what contract Pocket Pair has with Microsoft for the video game. Now, does this mean that they can also play other video games? That I don't know. I'm not sure about that. If I do hear anything else, though, I'll certainly talk about this or keep you guys up to date. But definitely, Sony sees the amount of money that Pal World is making and the opportunity, and they're seizing the opportunity. And honestly, that's really smart for them. I don't know why Xbox didn't do that. Maybe they just planned on buying Pocket Pair. Ooh, that'd be interesting. Then what? Then we got a deal with Xbox and Sony. That'd be interesting. I'm not sure how that would work. But anyway, I'll keep you guys up to date on that. But definitely there'll be some plushies coming out. I have no doubt in my mind. And two, if you're actually making some money on some Pal World stuff, like hoodies or sweatshirts or whatever. Hi, bud. Then you might actually want to look out for this because you could get a cease and desist from Pal World Entertainment, and that would definitely be an issue. So, next, let's talk about Concord. They had a closed beta test here, and we weren't able to necessarily see too much. There wasn't a lot of people playing, but with their open beta test, still there wasn't very many people playing. So their closed beta was around 1,200 or so. And then their open beta test saw like a couple of thousand, or like 3,000. Again, not a lot. It's like the barrier for entry is $0, and so the best time for people to play and test it out now on PC and PlayStation is literally right now. And that's not good. Like nobody's really playing your game. And the issues here is, it ran pretty good. There weren't a lot of issues. It runs well too. The gunplay is fun. But again, it's a clone. People feel like they've played it before, like Overwatch, or like even like Marvel Rivals. That's coming out now, and that's an issue. That's a problem. Also, too, the character design and armor. Some of it's pretty ugly, like off green color, like puke green. Like it's just like, why would you do that? And then too, there's really nothing special or unique about the characters or about the guns. It just feels like we've all played it before, and it's pretty frustrating. There's also cutscenes they're going to release once a week or every other week, which sounds kind of really pointless because the cutscenes have nothing to do with the gameplay of 5v5 of what you're doing. So in examples, you get to see like a desert worm come out and become a threat or whatever, but again, that's not integrated into the gameplay at all. And it just really doesn't make a lot of sense. And yeah, the worst part of it, again, is that this is $40 on top of all the other microtransactions that are going to be in the game. And again, people feel like they've played it already. And the biggest thing that testers say they would like, having watched a few videos and some articles and stuff, is that they'd like the game to actually be free. If it was free, it might be something they actually play. Otherwise, are they going to give up their other live service games they've already invested in and stuff? Probably not. And that sucks. So let's go ahead and talk about Ubisoft and their plans for Assassin's Creed. We know a little bit more now. Bye, bud. And so they'll be doubling down, as we know, on Assassin's Creed. And they've cut several alternative IPs, one of them being Immortals Phoenix Rising. They were actually working on number 2, and they're like, nope, scrap it. We're done. And so that really sucks. And so it does make sense from a business standpoint to stick with what's actually going to work and what's going to make you money, especially when there's not as much money flowing around anymore. And having to be a company that has to show growth every flipping year to beat inflation and give a real return on investment, that's tough when you don't have enough money flowing around. So you got to entice players and whatever, or your consumer base, to keep buying. And so now we know they'll have basically 4 separate styles of Assassin's Creed games. They're going to have remakes and remasters. They're going to have unique experiences like Hex VR. There's also going to be smaller story games like Assassin's Creed Mirage. And then we'll also be having big AAA games like Assassin's Creed Shadows coming out later this year. And so the idea is probably to mix and match some of these throughout the years, but generally keep it all Assassin's Creed. So they're hoping to capture the nostalgia for players. They're hoping to capture the unique experience for those that have VR and whatever. And then, smaller games that are going to be cheaper for folks that are maybe waiting to play something else. And then the true fans that want a big open world AAA experience, they have something for them too. So this actually is, in my opinion, kind of a smart business model. While some companies are all focusing on AAA, or some companies are kind of just focusing on making some unique experience or some smaller experiences, or just right now kind of doing remakes pretty often. This is a mixture of everything. So they're likely to capture a broader audience, but with the amount of money that they put into each one of these 4, is it really going to have a good enough return? And that's what I'm curious about. So Mirage seems like it actually sold pretty well. I have the game myself. I'll show it on the channel here eventually. And when we hear about what the remasters and remakes will be, I'll have those here on the channel too. I'll keep you guys up to date. And then how Assassin's Creed Shadows goes, I'm actually really excited and curious about that too. And so we know that they want some remasters, but they also want to add new and expanding stories to some of the Assassin's Creed stuff we already know, which I find that very interesting. We also know, too, that they've changed their game engine, Anvil. It's now called Anvil Pipeline. And currently, when they update the engine fairly often, it means that not all of the same studios are working with the same version of the engine, which can be frustrating or can make some games look older than maybe some other ones, because you don't want to change it right in the middle of the development if you don't have to. But if they do change it right in the middle of the development, well, now they got to backtrack and do some more work, and that also honestly slows progress. Now the idea is that we're going to have Anvil Pipeline, and all devs and studios under Ubisoft will be able to use the same version to make their games. So it'll just be once every so often. Maybe they'll kind of have a break, or have a lot of timelines match up where the game's released in a certain month, and then the next month they'll put out the new thing for devs to kind of work with or whatever, and then they'll start making their next projects, which honestly would be a lot more efficient. You'd be able to also remotely cross train or cross work a lot of studios and stuff. And if you really had to get something out quickly, or you were having an issue you didn't expect, you could get dozens or even hundreds of more devs on, and since they already know the software and it's the same version and everything, that would honestly help speed up production. This too is going to allow better graphical consistency through the games, through ray tracing and animations, geometry, weather mechanics, all of that kind of stuff. And so while the remasters haven't been great like Assassin's Creed 3, I am curious if we can get a Black Flag 2. Because having a Black Flag 2, especially after the Skull and Bones disaster, would be really nice. But again, I want them to do a good job of it. Also, too, we can see remakes of the original Assassin's Creed. And we already got some remakes of the Ezio collection. And that wasn't great still. at least according to users. But it would be nice to get some actual like 4K remakes, and remakes that are actually good, that are on a better engine. So we'll see what happens with this. Assassin's Creed nostalgia still has a place in my heart, and I still wish games to be good. Okay, I still want studios to put out good quality games. Okay, like Larian or From Software. But and they've had a lot of opportunities, and yes, I agree, they've been dropping the ball. But I think eventually, with stories like Concord, with games like Suicide Squad, the community is asking for something else. And the ones that don't change that, they're going to be hurting for money. And eventually they might have to be sold. So keep applying the pressure, folks. Keep voting with your money. Next, let's talk about Black Ops 6. Again, this is coming out October 25th. I'll be showcasing it here on the channel this year, which I wasn't planning to, but it's going to be coming on Game Pass. But yeah, the beta tests. So we finally know when these are going to be. For those that are pre-ordered or have Game Pass, if you want to try it out just for a day or whatever, you can. That's going to be August 30th through September 4th. And this is going to be actually pretty long. This is going to be like a whole week-long beta test, which is more than what we normally get. And then there will be an open beta on September 6th through September 8th. You'll have those 3 days to play, for everybody to be able to hop on and play and stuff. And what's nice is, again, Black Ops 6 is going to be available, and at the same time, no timed exclusive garbage. Everything's going to come out for everybody all at the same time. Yes, it's going to be all past-gen stuff. Yes, it's going to be current-gen stuff. So yeah, people are getting pretty excited for this. If interested, there was a dev interview with details about the game, with Omni movement, with some of their decision-making for the game, with some of the teams that have been working on it. And this is actually on YouTube right now, called COD Pod Episode 1. So they're going to do this every so often. Honestly, I'll be watching these as we get closer and at the launch of Black Ops 6. They did talk about some Modern Warfare 3 stuff in there, which I really didn't care. But yeah, Black Ops 6 I'm definitely more interested in. But again, is Black Ops 6 going to be a $70 game? I don't know. I would love Call of Duty to go back for its roots. Same with like Assassin's Creed. Same with Battlefield. I mean, I'd love to have my games back. That would be great. So yeah, link is in the description. These are roughly going to be about 50 minutes to an hour, and it is chaptered too, which is nice. But we know what the campaign is going to be done by Raven. They were the ones that did the campaign in Cold War, and that campaign was heavily praised. That one was great. We know, too, we're going to get 16 maps for multiplayer at launch. We also know we're going to get round zombies. It's not going to be open world. It's going to be, different rounds until you're dead. And this is going to continue off of the Cold War story that was in Zombies. So that had some round zombies as well, plus an open world map. So if you played it all, enjoyed it all, kept with the story, which I can't even keep up, I don't even know what's going on anymore. I just play it for fun. They will continuing on with the Cold War story. There's also going to be new weapons in never seen in COD before, which that's interesting because we've had pretty much every single era of war besides medieval. So yeah, I'm curious what that's going to look like. I'm sure the monetization will still be pretty OP. And the game will only be coming on Game Pass Ultimate and on Game Pass PC. But if you have console, there were some changes, of course, with the Xbox Game Pass. But if you're on, if you have the console version right now for $11.99, the price is going to change as of September 12th of this year. And if you want to stack your cards up to 13 months, you can, so that you can continue to get the same price and you can continue to get the same service for day one, so that you can play Black Ops 6. As for all of this videos and stuff that I've watched, that's really what it sounds like. Again, we'll see it when it actually happens, but you can at least stack your cards, keep the same price, keep your day one. Otherwise, you got to go to $15 a month and get standard on September 12th. And yeah, now you're paying more. Actually, no, excuse me, scratch that. Console will be going to standard. What that's going to do for you is it's going to give you multiplayer, and day one will be removed. If you want to keep day one, you have to now go to Ultimate from $11 to now $20 a month, which is a massive price increase, 82% by the way. And yeah, so stack those cards. Stack those cards, baby, because that price increase is huge for those of you that want to keep your day one. Okay, so Microsoft has fired one of its DEI teams due to changing business needs. So teams was fired as of July 1st. And first, the team lead was fired. She was actually on vacation. We covered this last week, which that's a crappy way to do it. But again, would you just let them come in and be like, yeah, you're fired? Yeah, there's really no nice way to do that. There's really not. But yeah, the team was fired due to redundancy. Hold on, folks. Bye-bye, hon. Bye-bye, bud. So yeah, the first team lead was fired while she was on vacation, and then the rest of the team was fired later. But yeah, they're officially all done now. We don't know how many. For those that are gonna freak out, Microsoft says they're still committed to D&I commitments and policies, and they still have some teams in place. Okay, this wasn't just like their only team, but they're still trying to save costs. They don't really see the point in having multiple teams. Maybe they just need one or two, and that's that. But yeah, Microsoft too isn't the only company that's going back or reducing or completely quitting on DEI. This has actually been happening since last year. So we've had Google, Meta, Zoom, Snap, Tesla, DoorDash, Lyft, Home Depot, Wayfair. They've all reduced their teams. John Deere and Tractor Supply, they've almost completely removed all of their DEI everything. Now, there's still laws in place today that require equal opportunity. There's still also affirmative action, which increases hiring of historically disadvantaged groups. And so all of that is still in place. But again, we don't need more policies to bring people to the front when they don't have the skill. And that's really the issue here, is that, the best people should get the job. And that should be up for the company to decide, not political policy. So yeah, from 2022 to 2023, there's been a drop of 44% in DEI listings and jobs. So it's definitely fallen off a cliff. And from 2023 to 2024, I'm sure it's continuing to go down as the companies that I've already mentioned made a lot of changes this year and toward the end of last year. And so Microsoft is the first gaming company to actually reduce their DEI program that I know of. And so I think ultimately others are going to follow in time. And I'll keep you up to date on that if I find it relevant or if it's a bigger story. But the fact that Microsoft is the first gaming company or has a gaming sector under their company, I do think that's a big deal because there's been quite a few of us. Not everybody, and we can all have our different opinions on this, but there has been quite a few people and channels talking about DEI and being frustrated with what's going on in games. And while I don't necessarily care a whole lot, what I do care about is the quality of the game. And I care about something being pushed just because, instead of it actually helping the story. And this is what I struggle with a lot of movies and TV shows today, and why I choose not to watch them or support them, is because I just want the story, okay? And two, I don't want my children to necessarily be watching something that maybe I don't necessarily agree with, or with other people. That should be my responsibility as a parent, not a movie's or a TV show's or a game's responsibility. That's mine, and it's yours too if you have your own kids. And we don't need to push stuff and make things political. We just need to keep things entertaining. That's the role of gaming and movies and TV shows, and that's why I like the Fallout TV show. I mean, it was great. I really enjoyed that. That's why, too, I liked Inside Out, too. Yeah, again, it was great. And if there's, story for minorities, make the stories for minorities. I'm totally okay with that. But when we're purposefully pushing something just because they're historically disadvantaged, it makes for a crappy story. And there's a lot of them out there. So let's go ahead and move on to a really big outage that we had. A lot of people thought this was a cyber attack. That was the rumor for a while. This was, I think, on the 18th, Thursday. And many believed, yeah, again, that this was a huge hack, widespread, and this was affecting banks, airlines, hospitals, governments, etc., across the world. This this created and will continue to create probably tens of billions of dollars, maybe even hundreds of billions of dollars, depending on how long this goes on. So let's go ahead and get into this. So CrowdStrike is a cybersecurity company, and they're used for a lot of stuff, and they released an update early in the morning that messed up a lot of computers using Windows hosts. And Windows hosts is basically a file system that maps out domain names and IP addresses to them. And so it creates a network for data to be able to know where to go and where to transfer from and all that. Well, if you lose hosts or host isn't able to communicate or operate like it should, well, now you're effectively creating all of the digital systems and making them go blind. And they don't know where to go or what to do, and they can't connect with stuff, and they can't go to connect remotely to other routers or systems or programs. And as you can imagine, that's a really big issue. And so it was just blue screening everything. Flights were canceled. Again, there were shipping companies that couldn't move freight. There were hospitals that couldn't access information or data or public record, any I'll get there, folks. Patient records, all of that stuff. And I mean, it was even this affected 911 call centers. It was really flipping bad. I mean, and it's still bad. Some systems are able to come back online. One of the fixes is to be able to just reboot the system to death. There's also a file that you can remove locally at each computer and do it that way. But some people are reporting that it's taken them 15 times to reboot the system in order to finally, make it work. And that is just horrible, horrible. But yeah, this even affected the Paris Olympics. That's literally starting like at the end of this month or in August. It's really soon. So yeah, they might be a little behind schedule. And this was affecting other governments too. So basically anybody that was using Windows hosts, which is pretty much everything is remote now, it really messed up a lot of systems. So yeah, this is going to be an issue for quite a while, at least for some people. Because again, it's like, okay, well, I can do that remotely. Oh wait, I can't do that remotely anymore. I have to physically be there. So they need to have someone locally at each system for each business, for each public entity, etc. They need someone to either manually reboot the system until it works or actually remove the system file that's messing stuff up, because you can't like remotely update the system anymore because the update broke the system. So this too gets into another point of like, this should be a real warning for us about monopolization, because we have one company, Microsoft, that has a ton of operating software out there for almost everybody across the world, and then we have another monopoly that is contracted to work with those systems or those programs like TSA or other governments or whatever to work as to be a cybersecurity company and protect against viruses or hacks or whatever. And it's an update that literally halted the world. It was self-inflicted, and that's insane. That's insane. We effectively shut down the world because of an update. And that really just kind of blows my mind. And while monopolies make things easier, when they fail, it's catastrophic. And this is where I think diversification is really good. Why I think mom and pop shops are really good. Smaller banks are really good. Family-owned private companies are good. Because, again, it's like you get away from this monopolization, and having redundancy when there can be a failure is really good. Because, again, if you have multiple things in parallel, one of them fails, you still have the other parallels that are working, and business can go on as usual. This is why we have redundant server farms, right? But when you have everything in series and it snaps or breaks, well, now you've just broken that entire chain, and nothing's going to work now until you fix it. And at the pace that our world moves and everything, and all of the data and business, how things are just done remotely nowadays. When you literally break that system, that is catastrophic. I mean, yeah, it's a really big deal. That's maybe there could be a whole video on that, on why that's a really big issue. But I mean, it literally stops the economy. It stops processes. It stops anything to do with legal stuff. It stops schools, hospitals, call centers. I mean, do the math. I mean, and this was global. This was like dozens of countries affected by this. And yeah, that's really just crazy. So, and think of that too for your own personal life. Do you have redundancies, or is just everything in series? Because life's imperfect, folks. We all know that. And someday it's going to flip and break. And do you have a plan for that? Are you prepared for that? So next, let's talk about Fallout London. This is actually finally in its, quote, final stages to releasing. It was delayed because of a Fallout 4 update from Bethesda. So thank you, Bethesda. It really seemed pretty crappy because Fallout London has been years in development. And this is all fan-made and everything. And yeah, they had to delay it because of the update. And so yeah, it's close to releasing now again. But yeah, I do wish Bethesda would actually work with other teams a little bit better than they currently do. Because I think it'd be cool for modders to actually get paid. I think it'd be cool for more people, including the fans, to be able to work and produce stuff and keep a game going. Because there's always more ideas when you have a larger group of people throwing them out there. And then let the open market decide, us, the consumers, really see if it's worth the price or not. Really see if it's worth buying or not in the first place. And some are always going to be free. You know, that's not the issue. But yeah, I wish too there were other publishers besides just Bethesda that was actually doing this. So when Fallout London actually comes out, if you're interested to actually run, Fallout 4 needs to be rolled back to the previous version in order to play. So, because otherwise they'd have to completely, like, redo a lot of stuff. And again, they're just ready to get this out here. They've been so close, and they just want to be able to get it out. So, and that kind of sucks too, that you have to roll it back to the previous version, because not everybody really knows how to do that. And so just because of an update, it's really screwing up their work. It's messing with the community, and some people aren't ever going to play it just because of that. And that sucks. Next, last thing, let's talk about the Halo TV show. It's over. It's flipping over. To celebrate, I'm actually, when I have some free time or there's really nothing else for the channel, I'm going to play some Halo, folks, just to celebrate that the TV show is done. It has been so dumb. They've had 2 seasons, and we got the official word that Paramount Plus is canceling the show. Now, the show producers are looking to do a 3rd season somewhere else. They're looking for someone else to pick them up, but there's no takers yet. Oh, God, I hope they don't. But each episode for season 1 was $10 million. Oh, $10 million to screw up, a franchise and assassinate Master Chief, and just, oh my word. And, you know, it's like the Acolyte. They've done that too with Star Wars. Oh my gosh. Like, oh man, I am tired of these adaptations. I really am. 343 Studios said in a statement that they deeply appreciate the fans who propelled the Halo series to a global success. Then why are they canceling it? Why is it being canceled if it's a success? I think they're out of their mind. And my suggestion to 343 is that, hey, you need your entire team focusing on making a game, making a good game. They haven't had one for a while. Halo 4 was still fairly good, but not Halo 5 and not Infinite. And it's like, okay, you guys need to be hitting some bangers here if you want Halo to come back as a franchise, because again, we haven't had a Halo game in a while. And while yes, it doesn't take the devs away to make a TV series or a movie, I still think it's cheap, and I still think it's a waste of money, because again, there was nothing that I really enjoyed while looking at reviews for each episode of Season 1 and 2 for Halo. Okay, it's the same with the Twisted Metal. Like, Twisted Metal, unfortunately, is getting a 2nd season. There was enough money there. But, again, I don't think Twisted Metal can keep going, because it's like, for me personally, Twisted Metal is not Twisted Metal because it's got nothing to do with the tournament. And I hate that. instead it's a whole bunch of runners of packages. Yay. And again, while we focus on a character, that's great. Again, I don't think the entire psychological profile of Sweet Tooth is accurate to the lore in the game. And again, that's frustrating too. And I just want good stuff, folks, okay? I don't want them to have to change and rewrite everything and, here's my interpretation. No, shove your interpretation up your ass and just leave stuff as it is, because that's what we expect, okay? For people that don't know, sure, they will accept whatever interpretation you have because they don't know any better, okay? And generally that's the younger folks, but it'd be like if they totally rewrote Alien. It'd be like totally if they rewrote Species, maybe. Or like they totally rewrote, I'm thinking of others. It's like they already did. They already did. It's like, or like if they totally rewrote Godzilla and King Kong and stuff. And I mean, still, I just want good stuff, okay? I just want good stuff. And I'm going to go see the Borderlands movie that's coming out next month. And I'm pretty cautious about it, but I want to tell you guys about it. Because again, it's related to gaming. And, but yeah, finally, at least Halo is over. I hope it doesn't come back, because what they did in that show is just incredibly frustrating. And it's just sloppy writing. The acting is bad. There's a lot of scenes, too, where they could have showed something better to actually give the viewers something to engage with, and they didn't, probably because of cost. But again, it's like, okay, $10 million? $10 million per episode? This is crazy. Why is the cost so freaking much? The Acolyte itself was like $180 million for 8 episodes. Why? Why is it so freaking much? I don't understand what's going on, but in order for TV and movies to survive, most of them, we need to cut budgets, because there's no way that kind of stuff should cost that much. That's crazy. Go do it in another country, I guess. Go make LLCs in another country that have different rules. I don't know. You got to come up with something, because it's getting crazy. So anyway, that's what I got for the gaming news, folks. Thanks for tuning in. You can always like and follow all that jazz. And, if you liked it, go ahead and share it, too, if you can. I'd appreciate that. And then, stay tuned, for our Flintlock thing. And I got to hang out with Lion right now. And we're going to play some more, probably Elden Ring. So with that, folks, thanks for tuning in. You can always follow me at GamingGarbage22 over at YouTube. Don't forget also Twitch at Don't Tread on Thee. And don't forget our Discord link in the description. I'll see you on the next one, folks.